Well, I think the unknown, like, in order to feel, experience the unknown, presence, flow state, we have to get out of our own way.
When I'm in flow state, like, I'm not even considering the unknown. And in flow state, I'm just like, bring it on.
Yeah, we can only consider the unknown when we're in our mind. So theorizing about the unknown is, I mean, everything happens in the present moment, right? Like, the present moment contains past, present, and future simultaneously. And at some point in the unknown, you recognize that even the idea of the past it's not real. There's no continuity to the past. And yet,
what do you mean by continuity?
Like an experience that we had when we were 5 years old.
Like it doesn't relate to this moment.
Yeah, I mean, as humans, our greatest addiction is to our history. Is to our memory.
Where does that come from?
That's a good question. And yet I think it gives us a stability, a ground. Without it, we wouldn't have any semblance of a ground, of a foundation. So like the ego construct is a necessary construct in order to have the experience of evolution, to have the experience of expansion. It's kind of esoteric in a sense.
So if you're talking about expansion, we were talking also about the equilibrating forces, right? Like the polarities. The conversation about polarity is that, we need polarity to experience. To really expand, you need to come face to face with your opposite, in a sense of like, you need the other side of the polarity to force you to grow out of your comfort zone.
Where in your life right now are you facing the equilibrating opposite?
Well, I think we experience it all the time. It's whether or not we're experiencing it or resisting it. I feel like most people resist. Most people are resisting the experience of the equalizing forces in life. So it's like everyone wants to have things their way. Everyone wants life to go their way. Everyone wants to be in control. There's kind of that, like, that's my experience of people in America, right? Everyone is, we're all control freaks here, right? What's the equalizing force that equilibrates these imbalanced energies? And that's what I think creates a lot of resistance. People are in resistance to getting the growth and lessons that they actually need because they resist those equalizing forces. But those equalizing forces are ultimately what's going to give you a new perspective, and it's really what's going to break open your consensus, right? It's like we have a consensus about how reality is. And if we're not actively allowing life to expand our perception of reality, then, we're kind of playing small. And in a sense, a lot of people just end up dying, right? It's like if you refuse to grow, then basically you're just accepting death. So when you see somebody who's in resistance, or someone who's in resistance to something that's occurring in the present moment, it's a sign that they're resisting an equalizing force. That's being out of a state of power. That's assigning away your power. Every time you try to resist, an external force, in any sense of the term, it becomes a way to assign away your power. And people think that by resisting it, it's not getting power over them. But the very fact that they're resisting something external is a sign that it has power over them.
So let's bring this into actual life for you and I.
Yeah.
I'm curious, in what ways is life reflecting to you to expand? Like, how does that show up?
Well, my life, I'm always been...
No, I mean, like, currently at this stage of your evolution.
It's no different than the way that I've been living the last 10 or 15 years of my life, and that I'm constantly looking for an opportunity to expand.
Yeah.
So I don't experience the resistance. I'm welcoming the chaos.
That's what I feel from my own experience. Like, for me, I'll answer my question. So something that I've been consciously doing, one thing that I've done that like completely puts me into a state of resistance. I hired a dating coach and found myself in Vegas. And in Vegas, yeah, right, of all places. Here Michael is.
Not just in Vegas.
In the clubs in Vegas.
Like, where'd you go, Hakkasan?
No, we went to, what was it? Encore.
Encore,
So we went to Encore Beach Club, and then we went to the nightclub in the same venue. And literally the idea with the boot camp is to approach women and in a sense, start to build attraction. And I've never faced so much fear, so much trauma, so much just like, it was so overwhelming for me to experience that. I mean, my whole life, my greatest fear was approaching women. So,
but how much of that fear was the environment?
Well, I think a lot. I think the environment brings up it triggered the trauma in me, and more specifically, it triggered like, yeah. I mean, truthfully, I never knew how to communicate and talk with women, so I often found liquid lubrication, liquid courage to help me like approach a girl. And so doing that experience and approaching over, I mean, fuck, at this point, probably 700 women over the last 8 months has been a completely mind-shifting experience for me.
What I was talking about, right? You can isolate or you can go out and experience the world. And the social aspect to life, right? Like when you start to really embrace the social experience of life, right? It's like it forces you to really confront all these areas where energy's been locked up, where, you know, maybe your progress, your trauma or something is like really blocking you from just experiencing life in the present moment. And you've talked about this a lot, authenticity. Like authenticity is something that's really missing in the world, especially in the social. Look at the scene of the nightlife or social. You know, it's like where's the authenticity, right? And I think people are suffering that. I think our society in 2026 is suffering the lack of authenticity in social experiences and in the social life, and because I think a lot of people are afraid to really confront themselves, and I think this is really where the work comes in. Being able to confront yourself, whether it's approaching girls or getting in the gym, getting fit, building a business, making money, dealing with employees, like all of these things deal with our interpersonal relationships. Our interpersonal relationships are a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. So when you look at the reflection of our relationship with ourselves, how authentic are you? How honest are you with Michael, right? What I'm feeling and experiencing and who I am and how I show up in the world. I think the worst thing that you can do in today is like put on a front or create a persona that's not authentic. I think is very damaging, and I think it's also a fast path to failure for a lot of people because, you know, I think about like club promoters, right? They're like masters at social game, right? But they have to wear this mask of like being the cool guy when, you know, a lot of them are kind of honestly just, you know, maybe losers, or, you know, the guys that are successful in that, like there's a few guys that I know in Scottsdale who've been doing it a long time. They're solid guys, but they are businessmen. That's not the same as like your average club promoter. But if you look at the persona, it's what kind of a persona that people craft. And when you see somebody crafting a persona, a lot of times what happens is a persona gets built on top of trauma and wounds. And I think that's the thing that you have to consider when you look at vulnerability, authenticity, and then your social life, right? How do you build a house on a solid foundation, right? And authenticity is the only solid foundation we have. We want authentic relationships, right?
I mean, I think authenticity has become this like buzzword in today's society. Like we think we know what it means to be authentic.
Well, let me define it, because it's a very clear definition. Being authentic it's like being congruent and aligned with who you present yourself to be, right? Your external, meaning your external matches your internal.
So
that's
like
authenticity.
Based on what you're feeling internally, you're communicating from that level of like congruence and integrity. Because I would say being authentic is like you have to be in connection, in communion with your own internal experience.
There you go.
Of feeling and of like vibration, right? And I would say most people aren't feeling themselves. So if I'm not feeling myself, how the hell can I be authentic? It's just like if I'm not feeling or connected to my body, I think the body somatically, right? Embodiment literally means being in your body and feeling your body and then starting to communicate from that place. And I think to your point, like being out, let's take the nightlife in Scottsdale, for instance, in Old Town. It's really hard to be embodied because the environment is so incoherent. What's natural in that state is incoherence, right? Now, we can always choose to bring our attention and awareness back to ourselves. However, in that environment, it's not so conducive versus like if I'm going to a yoga class, right, and I'm doing breath work and I'm literally being taught to focus on myself, my body, my breath, like that environment's way more conducive to starting to...
Well, I think the modern day social experience is essentially a distraction, right? It's like people go out to distract themselves in an environment where there's tons of distraction. it's impossible to think about your problem when the music is blaring and people are dancing and everyone's drinking, right? It's a distraction. It distracts people from their problems.
Well, it's
right?
ironic because I feel like that environment takes me into my problems.
Because you have
But
an
I'm also
awareness of
sober.
it.
I'm also sober. I don't go out and I'm not drinking.
You have an awareness of it. But then it begs the question. It's like, well, what happens to somebody who covers up and masks their trauma and is avoiding all these problems in life? And you hear about people all the time. It's like they fall off, or they really go into dark places because they spend so much time masking their problems and masking their trauma instead of really looking at how they can change and improve their life, to be present, just to experience it, because it's there. It's not going away, right?
What does it do for your experience?
It's like it forces me to confront who am I in this vast life? Who am I in this earth with 7 billion people? Who am I in this, right?
Like, we're all social beings, right? Generally speaking, we're more social when we're able to be ourselves, So when we're in an environment where we feel threatened to bring authenticity and to be ourselves, it forces us to confront, to your point, like, who am I in that environment? Who am I among a group of people that are, well, first of all, like, why do you think people go out to begin with? Like, what's
a distraction?
So there's a distraction to be free of their problems,
or just to have a
social experience. Yeah. I mean, most people aren't thinking that deeply about it.
The thing is, you can embody a certain frequency, a certain resonance. You can be aligned with your purpose. You can be aligned with your being on a soul or spiritual level. And when you go into that environment, it's like it's pushing up against that. It's the resistance. So for me, when I go into that, it's like, bring me the resistance so I can learn how to expand my resonance, right? But if you feel the resistance to it, it's like you're butting heads with it, right? Somebody who is not embodying their true, some sort of soul-aligned presence, right? It's like they go into that environment because they're seeking some sort of experience, some sort of frequency, or some sort of distraction or validation that they have relevance in the world. So it's like when you go into a nightclub, it's like a distraction, the frequency, like the pounding music, the unconsciousness, everyone's drunk, like all the things going on in that environment. It's like, in a sense, it becomes a surrogate for people who are searching how to embody their soul connection to life, or to understand what life is. Because if you're truly understanding that and aligned on a spiritual level, you're not going to the clubs to get drunk, right? Like, you're not going out and drinking. Like, for me, alcohol, I just can't do alcohol.
Yeah. It's such a small percentage of people that are seeking social freedom. I think we're all seeking it. We all deep down desire it, to be in an environment where we feel uncomfortable or we feel resistance, to be able to somehow find ourselves beyond that, and to be the author be the creator of our life, in the sense that I can go wherever and still, I got myself. I'm good. Like I can go over here. That person may be struggling, and I can put a smile on their face just by me being me. I can almost be that version of myself that is free, that is charismatic, that is open, that is connecting people, because I'm not dwelling on shit. I'm having a shitty time. It's like that's not important. What's important is for me to go out here and connect with people, no matter where they're at, whether they're fucking 8 drinks deep or. It's like, that's why I do it. I feel like for me to not only be able to connect with people in that environment, but that's now going to extrapolate into how I build my business and my romantic relationships and building a social circle and all that.
How does that tie into the polarity that you were talking about before?
Well, I think for me, going on the quote unquote spiritual journey and going within myself, I think I isolated myself from society and didn't want to go in those environments. And it actually took me a while to almost get to the point within myself where it was like going into the environments that make me extremely uncomfortable. That's where some of the greatest growth is. Now, before, I think the resistance was too overwhelming for me. I couldn't get into a space of I can actually enjoy this. I can go into an environment that my mind, my ego hates. And you know what? There's lessons. It's what did Rumi say? That the dark enters through the light enters through the dark.
There you go.
We all have different dark environments in our past experience that can support us. And man, I mean, to dissect the spiritual experience and say, that's good, that's bad, go do this, go do that, I think it's futile. We all have unique lessons that we need to learn in almost impossible places. And for me, it was, I mean, Vegas was one of those. So
there you go.
Yeah.